in the small Irish village of Bluestown. People still remember a man who carried out a $600,000 daylight robbery. The astonishing part, he had no gun in his hand and no mask on his face. After the operation, he walked around openly, and the police couldn't even touch him because everything he did was completely legal. His name was Barney Curley, a mysterious and extraordinarily cunning gambler so sharp that even seasoned bookmakers would shut down betting the moment they heard he was at the track. He didn't just identify weaknesses in the system, he turned them into powerful weapons. This is the incredible story of 1975 that the world now knows as the Yellow Sam betting coup. On June 26, 1975, about 26 kilometers from Dublin, the small village of Bluestown was hosting a horse race. The racecourse was lively and full of excitement. Preparations were underway, bettors were placing money on different horses, and bookmakers were taking their positions. But Barney Curley was nowhere to be seen. He was hiding inside the racecourse, concealed behind thorny bushes, waiting for the race to begin. The reason for hiding was simple. If the bookmakers discovered he was there or that his horse was running, they would immediately become alert. They might even suspend betting altogether. At that time, Barney had a notorious reputation in the gambling industry. If he so much as appeared at the racecourse, bookmakers assumed something unusual was about to happen. But the move he was planning that day would be the biggest and most dangerous gamble of his life. Barney Curley was someone who had once even outsmarted his own father. His father, Charlie Curley, trained greyhound dogs and gambled on their races. Charlie had a dishonest trick. At the last moment, he would drug his slowest dog to make it run faster and then place all his money on it. In this way, he deceived bookmakers and made substantial profits. Barney knew exactly what his father was doing. One day, when he was just 15 years old, Charlie asked him to feed drugged meat to a dog before a race. But Barney deliberately didn't give it to that dog. The next day, the dog lost, and Charlie suffered a significant loss. However, one person was very happy: Barney. He had secretly fed the drugged meat to a different dog and placed his own bet on it. By deceiving his father, Barney earned his first winnings equivalent to about $500 today. If someone begins his gambling career by outsmarting his own father, you can imagine what he might do to the rest of the world. In betting, gamblers place money on horses. If their chosen horse wins, they receive a payout based on the odds set by bookmakers. A weaker horse has higher odds, for example, 20-1, meaning you bet $1 and win $20. A stronger horse has lower odds because more people are betting on it. The greatest profits come from betting on a weak horse that unexpectedly wins. Charlie spent his life manipulating races, making slow dogs faster and fast dogs slower to fool bookmakers. At the time, betting laws were loose and regulations were weak. In 1956, disaster struck. Charlie once again drugged his slowest dog and placed all his money on it. But the medicine had a harmful reaction. The dog not only lost, but fell and broke its spine. Barney, who was 16 at the time, witnessed the devastating loss. The family was pushed deep into debt. Barney had to leave school and work in a factory to help repay his father's debts. For the next 18 months, they worked day and night, and everything they earned went toward paying bookmakers back. During that time, Barney saw the dangerous and dark side of gambling up close. Over the years, he tried many businesses, opening a betting shop, running a pub, even stepping into music management, but nothing succeeded. At one point, he even turned to smuggling Gillette razor blades across the border. However, after hearing gunfire during a border conflict, he was frightened enough to abandon that path. Still, his heart remained tied to horse racing. Eventually, he decided to enter the professional gambling world. After all, that was where he had earned his first money. By 1975, Barney had experienced both big wins and heavy losses. Bookmakers were now wary of him. If they heard his name, they either refused to accept his bets or quickly reduced the odds on any horse he backed. At that time, Barney was £12,000 in debt. He needed one bold move to escape. That's when a daring idea was born. He contacted an old friend and asked for a horse with a terrible racing record. The horse was named Yellow Sam. Ironically, his father's nickname. Yellow Sam's performance history was dreadful. In its previous 9 races, it had finished near the bottom each time. But this was all part of Barney's strategy. He deliberately entered the horse in unsuitable races and on unfavorable ground so that its official rating would drop even further. Eventually, Yellow Sam became eligible for a handicap race. In reality, the horse performed best on firm ground and was far better than its record suggested. Barney chose the Mount Hanover Handicap Hurdle at Bellewstown Racecourse on June 26, 1975. But that was only part of his master plan. Bellewstown Racecourse had just one public telephone booth. In those days, betting shops across the country relied on phone calls to communicate with bookmakers. If heavy betting came in on a particular horse, the odds would quickly be reduced. However, once the race began, the odds were locked. Barney realized that if he could block the racecourse's only phone line just before the race, bookmakers would not know that large bets were being placed nationwide on Yellow Sam. The odds would remain at 20-1 until the race started. To execute the plan, he recruited around 300 trusted people across Ireland. Each was given between £50 and £300 in cash to place bets on Yellow Sam at the last moment. In total, Barney invested about £15,000 his entire life savings. If the plan failed, he would lose everything. On race day, betting began hours in advance. As expected, Yellow Sam had the highest odds at 22 Kasatu. 25 minutes before the race, a trusted associate named Benny entered the racecourse's only public phone booth. His job was to occupy the line. He picked up the receiver and pretended to have an emotional conversation, claiming his aunt was seriously ill and on her deathbed. People in line sympathized and allowed him to continue. Meanwhile, betting managers across the country tried to call the racecourse to reduce Yellow Sam's odds, but the line was constantly busy. For 25 minutes, Benny kept the line engaged. As soon as the race began, the odds were locked at 20-1. Barney, hidden in the bushes with binoculars, watched anxiously. When the race started, Yellow Sam shocked everyone. Even the favorite horse couldn't keep up. Yellow Sam cleared all 13 hurdles smoothly and won the race by 2 lengths. Chaos erupted when bookmakers realized what had happened. They found Benny, but he claimed his aunt had miraculously recovered and denied knowing Barney. Now the bookmakers had no choice but to pay. Barney's £15,000 investment turned into nearly £300,000 a fortune at the time, worth millions today. Furious bookmakers reportedly paid him in £1 notes, filling 108 bags. The story made headlines across Ireland and the United Kingdom. Barney Curley became a legend overnight. Most importantly, he had broken no laws. He had simply exploited a weakness in the system and used it to his advantage. After this incident, bookmakers changed their rules, introducing stricter time limits for large bets. Barney continued to gamble in later years, and even in 2010 and 2014. He proved that his mind remained razor-sharp well into his 70s. Barney Curley passed away on May 23, 2021, at the age of 81 after battling cancer. The horse racing world paid tribute to him as a genius and the Robin Hood of racing, because he not only knew how to beat the system, but also donated much of his wealth to charitable causes.